Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome to the Dave Palma Show. And with me in this episode, I have a keynote speaker, facilitator, coach, who works closely with entrepreneurs and CEOs as a mentor and business coach. He's also the co-author of 9 Entrepreneurisms, management practice for a VUCA world. Anwar Jumabhoy, welcome to the Dave Palma Show.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast, and I look forward to talking about entrepreneurship.
Yeah. As your book says, the 9 Entrepreneurisms. What is the 9 Entrepreneurisms, and how does one adopt them?
Okay, so this is the book, and essentially what happened was that I've had a journey of both being an entrepreneur and working for large organizations, and I find that the organizations that do well and survive are the organizations that have this entrepreneurial spirit or entrepreneurial practice.
Yeah.
And so we set out in the book to define what are the practices. And, we sort of interviewed 100 people. We looked at a number of different cases, and we looked at our own experiences, and we distilled this to basically 9 entrepreneurisms. So it's a term that we coined. A little difficult to say, but these are 9 things that successful entrepreneurs do, and these are 9 things that you can adopt.
Okay, well, let's go into each one and then talk about them. So I know there's the 9. It's a self-efficacy, risk-taking, passion.
Yeah, we've sort of tabled it in a little handout, but yes. Right. So if you sort of start with, I like to describe it in sets of 3. All right. So self-efficacy, risk-taking, and passion. And these are the 3 that typically most entrepreneurs are associated with, right?
Yeah.
They have a capability, otherwise they wouldn't be an entrepreneur. They're taking a risk, and they're passionate about what they're doing. So these 3 tend to be the first 3 that people associate entrepreneurs with. And essentially what we're saying is that any company can have that. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to be passionate.
No.
Right? Yeah. And in this world, VUCA world, which is changing all the time, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, companies need to experiment. And to experiment means inherently you take risk. So you have self-efficacy, risk-taking, and passion as being really the 3 building blocks. And then, of course, we have 6 more, which incorporate the kind of things that companies and people need to do.
I see. Okay. So, I mean, if we go through them one by one, I mean, self-efficacy, how do you achieve that?
So self-efficacy, so self-efficacy is knowing what you're good at, right? So, Dave, you've had a long career as a fireman, right? Yeah. If somebody walks up to the station and says, hey, I can be a fireman, you're not going to hire him, right?
Not straight away. No, you have to go through the process of the application and then the training.
And so you have to see his competence, you have to train him, you have to be comfortable that yes, and that's what self-efficacy is all about. It's about making sure you're competent about something. And people and companies need to know what they're competent at. So that's really self-efficacy.
Yes, I see. Okay. So the next one, risk-taking. I mean, obviously, I know about that being a firefighter as well.
Exactly.
Business entrepreneurs have to, but
exactly. Yeah.
You tell us
You don't go into a dangerous situation and say I'm not going to come out, right? You go in with competence, which is what we call self-efficacy. You go in with the ability to execute.
Yeah.
Right? And you are extra good because you're passionate.
Yeah.
So these are normal things that normal people can adopt. It's just that over time we've handed this over to people who start businesses and startups. And we forget that all of us are like that. We're all passionate about something. We're all good at something. Yeah. And the same with companies. And we take risk in our daily life, right? With COVID today, I mean, we're all taking a risk by going out.
Oh, I mean, I've had to travel on a plane for the first time, after about a year and a quarter of the thing. And, a year later, still, it's still kind of risky. It feels risky because
you feel, right? You feel, right?
Between different countries,
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, in this post-coronavirus and traveling through airports and stuff like that, it's very risky. When I was traveling through, you're going through different countries. I've had to change over in Abu Dhabi when it was on the banned list. It's not now, but it's risky just going out simply in what's going on in the world now with the COVID and certainly other things. So certainly in business, I mean, with risk taking, what does one have to do to adopt that?
Well, Dave, we talked a little bit about sports, right? So in sports also you take risk, right? We take risk in everything we do. And what happens in business is that businesses are not static. So businesses have to evolve. And in order to evolve, you need to get new skills. Yes, you're not going to acquire the new skills straight away.
No.
So in the process of acquiring, that's a risk, right? Because when you try and acquire, you may not get. But if you don't acquire and your competitor acquires, well, you're toast.
Well, you've certainly seen that in this past year and a half already. I mean, a lot of businesses have either pivoted because they couldn't operate the type of business they could do with the lockdown. Some of them needed the people to be, especially in the hospitality trade,
Correct.
I know there's a retail called Gap. You've probably heard of the clothing company Gap.
Yeah.
They've closed all their stores in the UK now and just totally gone online because that's what's working for them now.
Correct.
So it's things like that, and that's a new skill for someone who's only been driving taxi.
Yes.
The licensed taxis, and then all of a sudden found they couldn't do that, and maybe they could do Uber or something like that. Have to learn technology, or something like that. So,
So you have to acquire the skills, and the secret of entrepreneurs is they acquire the skills ahead of the need. Right. And so you have to experiment with lots of things, right? Mm-hmm. So you talked about Gap going online. Well, you heard about Toys R Us who didn't believe in going online.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There were some stubborn companies that...
What happened to them, right?
Yeah, well, actually, what did happen to them? Just
they went bust.
Oh, they've gone bust, okay. I thought I saw one in the Philippines, the Toys R Us store.
Yes, I think there are some international franchises that still operate.
Ah, right, franchise, there's a lot of franchises.
And also, don't forget that going bust doesn't mean all the shops close at one go, right?
Yeah.
So there are processes that go through.
That's right. So slowly, they're saying, right, we're closing these stores, and then eventually,
exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So while I've been back in the UK, I haven't seen any Toys R Us stores, in the few
Well, they had the old model of we work for Christmas, and a lot of traditional retailers have made that mistake. They wait for the sale season. Because that's when they dress up the store, that's when they do all the kind of stuff, right, for Christmas. And a lot of them get their business in that 1 month.
Yeah.
What happened when the e-tailers came on? They have a 6.6 sale, a 7.7 sale, a 9.9 sale, 11.11 sale, right? And because they have that flexibility, they're able to do promotions almost all the year round. So did they acquire that skill at the beginning? No. They experimented, they found that it worked, they learned from it, and that's why learning and opportunism. So then, we talked about self-efficacy, risk-taking, and passion. The next three are really innovation, opportunism, and learning, and that's essentially what we're talking about, right? Yeah. You see something, there may be an opportunity, there may not be an opportunity, but unless you try.
So like in the Gap instance, online while they were in the lockdown during the pandemic was working for them. And they thought, why do we need stores? There's an opportunity now for us to really, keep this really good sales online going and just close the stores. Why do we need the overheads? So that's the opportunity, wasn't it, that they took? That's right.
And you see how one of the things that that I'm quite passionate about is if you change the structure of an organization, you can get new behavior.
Yeah.
And that's what pandemic has taught everybody, right?
Yes, yeah.
The pandemic has forced people to experiment, has forced people to learn new skills. Mm-hmm. And the ones that are successful are the ones who have acquired the new skills.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, and as we mentioned in that analogy of sports, it happens as well there because you're learning a new tactic, you're learning a new technique, you're learning a new training method. All that always comes into coaching and athletes and other sports. Where, it's not, you know.
I mean, there's the famous example of Tiger Woods, right, who had to adjust his swing because that was considered bad for his body.
And there's always a different. Oh, right, that's right. When he had the back injury,
exactly, and it did not take him a week.
No, he had to.
Right, it took him, I think, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So he took a risk, right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's he had a swing that's unique to him, and then he had to relearn it. It's like, it's like telling your body to walk a different way. When you've learned to walk a certain way, and
Correct. And companies. I mean, that's an analogy for companies, right? And that's why we say that you as a company can be entrepreneurial. It doesn't matter if you're a traditional company. I worked in a traditional company. I worked in a shipyard for many years.
Yeah.
Right. We went from building small vessels to rigs to semi-submersibles to deep water. We kept building more complex structures, which meant that all of us had to learn new skills. But it meant also that we stayed relevant.
Yeah. So we've covered innovation.
We've covered self-efficacy, risk-taking, and passion, and then the next three are innovation, opportunism, and learning. Yeah. And the last three are realism, persuasion, and execution. I mean, I don't think anybody needs to be taught about realism. Right?
No, that's right.
You can't tell me the pandemic is not there, right?
It's like goal setting. Being realistic is obviously a key part of it. Really.
Yeah, and I mean. You do a lot of coaching, Dave, and in coaching is you've got to start with a base, right?
Yeah, that's right.
This is the base. These are my assumptions. Are they correct, not correct?
Yeah.
And then you've got to execute. You've got to learn. You've got to set your targets. And the successful entrepreneurs, like the successful companies, execution is critical.
Yeah. I mean, you have the end goal. So if you're climbing Mount Everest, for example, I want to get to that tip, but the first thing the climber does is any climbers the same, right? The first thing, let's get to that part there, climb it, right, we're there now. Let's get to that, like that. So sorry about the hand movement.
And that's what Jim Collins talks about in his book, Great by Choice.
Yeah.
You've got to set your weekly, daily, monthly targets, and you've got to meet them.
Yes, yeah. Targets is quite key, which is like mini goals in a way as well. Depending on what your business is about or whatever it is you're trying to achieve is about. You can't just get there straight away. If it can't be done, if I said I want to get to Malaysia now from London in the next, by dinner time tonight, it's not possible. I've got to buy the tickets, I've got to get to the airport.
Come back to the example that we talked about earlier, Dave. If somebody walks into the fire station and says, I want to be on that truck, and I want to be on that truck tomorrow, you can't risk everybody's life by putting somebody in there who's not qualified, right?
That's right, exactly, yeah. So that's quite a good example.
And so
the processes.
Exactly.
So it's not realistic to say I'm going to be on there and fighting fires tomorrow with the team. That's not realistic to do that, in a professional basis.
Yeah. And the problem with a lot of companies and what differentiates them from entrepreneurs is companies tend to get stuck in process. They just keep doing it that way because they did it that way before, and they're comfortable doing it that way, and they don't realize that around them the world is changing, their competitors are changing. And it's like the example I gave in the shipyard. If we had continued to build, small, low value, we would have gone out of business because we would not have been competitive. So we had to up our engineering skills, we had to up our building skills, we had to up all the skills to build higher and better products. So to stay relevant. And every company needs to do that. And that's, the heart of what entrepreneurs do. Entrepreneurs worry about not surviving tomorrow.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of like being realistic. So realism, it covers realism. So obviously, it's self-explanatory, like you say, it's goal setting. Yep. People know what being realistic is about. So what about persuasion and before we go into execution?
Persuasion is number one skill, right? You can't sell. If you can't sell, you can't survive.
That is an interesting one. So tell us about that, because most people will want to know, how do you adopt this then?
Yes.
Because I want to persuade people to buy all my whole lot of my stock, you know, so I can just retire a millionaire tomorrow. That's not realistic either.
So entrepreneurs excel at this for two reasons, right?
Yeah.
One is they need to persuade people to come on the journey with them. Right? It's a little bit easier for entrepreneurs vis-a-vis companies because entrepreneurs start with a clean slate. They're passionate, they get passionate people to work with them and they go forward. But entrepreneurs still need to persuade people to go the journey with them. And many entrepreneurial companies don't take off on the first day. So you've got to hang on to your team, you've got to motivate them, right? Entrepreneurs need to look for funding. Entrepreneurs need to make a sale. And that's why entrepreneurs develop the skill of persuasion. And I say persuasion rather than selling.
Right, okay.
Because persuasion requires you to also listen.
Yeah.
And when when you are an entrepreneur, you need to understand, is this going to happen with this party, with this guy, with this girl? Is this going to happen? I have to listen, because if it's not going to happen, I don't have all the time in the day. I've got to move on to the next one, right?
Yeah.
So when you're trying to sell a product, you have to listen to the customer first.
Yeah.
What's his problem? What's his pain point?
Yes. Yeah.
And then you have to ask yourself, am I able to solve it? Because if I'm not able to solve it, I shouldn't be wasting time on this customer. So persuasion is a two-way street, right? It's as much listening as understanding and then selling.
Yeah. So the last one then, and then I'm going to just go into a couple of
execution.
Execution.
We talked about execution is in everything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So right, we've got everything now. Execute it. Take action, basically.
Exactly. And in execution, you need to monitor.
Yeah.
Right. So entrepreneurs again are very good at doing the granular and the midterm and the long term, because in entrepreneurial organizations, you don't have all these layers of planners and managers and all this kind of stuff. So entrepreneurs typically are very good at being able to dive deep and look far. In companies, they tend to separate this activity. The guys who dive deep and the guys who look far are different. Now, it could have worked in the past, but today with the world changing, corporate executives need to also be able to do the same thing. Dive deep, look far. That's a natural skill that entrepreneurs have, and those that don't have it acquire it.
Yeah. Right. So let's go into some examples of some successful businessmen. So we'll look at, say, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos.
Bezos, yes.
Yes. What would you say are examples of these 9 entrepreneurisms? Because they would have gone through these, wouldn't they?
Yes. So both of them, right? Jeff Bezos built Amazon. I think he launched Amazon in 1994.
Yeah.
All right. He launched Amazon in 94 as a book selling company.
Yeah.
Right. And then he realized that you really can't make much money in books. And what he realized, and we talked about this progression, what he realized is he built an incredible back end for fulfillment and for e-selling. And so that's the product that today is Amazon Cloud, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice. He had the passion. He was fastidious at execution.
Yeah.
Right? And he kept learning, because he learned that what I've gone E. What are the other people that want to go E, and what can I do for them?
Well, like Alibaba, for example.
Exactly. And Alibaba has a different model in China vis-a-vis Amazon.
Yeah.
Because Alibaba realized that to overcome the trust factor, I don't want to pay a vendor until I receive the goods. And that was a remarkable insight that he had, right?
Right.
So when you deal in Amazon, you pay and then you get the goods.
Yes.
If there's a problem, you can go back.
Amazon will sort it out, yeah.
Right? But Alibaba doesn't work that way.
Right.
Alibaba holds the money until you confirm that you've got the goods, and then it releases the money.
Oh, see, okay.
So he got over the trust factor that, what happens if I don't get the goods? I don't want to go through this whole refund process, right?
Yeah.
Because refunding is a common phenomena in America.
Oh, right.
It's not common.
Especially on the day Christmas, everyone gets presents, and they've got this big day on the day after where everyone brings back the unwanted presents. It's a big day, It's
Exactly.
actually
So Alibaba recognized that culturally, to execute this plan wouldn't work, and so he adapted it. Musk is just an extraordinary entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
PayPal was founded in I think 1988, by Peter Thiel. And it merged. Musk had formed a company called XCOM, which was going to do banking software. And then they merged, I think, in 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
And then they focused on payments.
Yes.
So Musk is just an extraordinary person, extraordinary visionary, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, amazingly, he's bought a load of bitcoins, because that's the new thing now, isn't it? Because really, PayPal was the beginning of digital kind of currency in a way, where you're doing it. It's not the same as cryptocurrency because it's not blockchain or anything like that. But it could go that way. PayPal could go that way, eventually if they wanted to. But
PayPal also missed because they come from the American environment where the percentage of banked people is very high.
Yeah.
So to operate PayPal, you need a bank account.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
A bank account or a credit card. Where you live part of the year in the Philippines, I think it's 70% unbanked.
That's right, yeah.
So these 70% of people, these 70% of people pay cash, or are now moving to e-wallets.
That's true, yeah, crypto.
Which did not exist in America.
No.
Right. So again, it's a function of understanding your environment, and the entrepreneurs there get it. So e-wallets are becoming a big thing. Crypto is a different. Crypto is a store of money.
Yeah.
Right. It has no intrinsic value. It's a store of money.
Yeah.
But it's just the ease of moving it around and the traceability, which is a big factor.
Yeah, it's like online banking as opposed to physically.
Yes.
It's the same thing as physically putting money in the bank, but you're moving it around electronically, as opposed to, anyway, you probably, I can see you're probably thinking
crypto is a whole new subject, which I'm not familiar with, but it is a whole new subject.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking of looking a bit more deeper into it, but I'm not committing, because even today I kind of heard about a hacker hacking millions from a certain crypto company. You probably might be able to research it. It's only news today, actually. But that's the sort of thing, really, is that because it's not legal.
No, it's legal.
So what I mean is it's not regulated, sorry.
Yes.
So that's why, things like the security, even regulated stuff can still have security issues online as well. But it's still in its infancy, but I think it's breaking through now, crypto, isn't it?
Well, there's two cryptos, right? There's crypto that's non-regulated and regulated. So it's a question of which way is the market going to go. Yeah. And then there are asset-backed coins, where the value of the coin is a function of the underlying asset. Yeah. So it's still early days. I mean, I think people don't know exactly where it's going to pan out.
Yeah. Okay, well, tell us a little bit about your side of your business and what you do. I mean, obviously you're a speaker as well and a coach as well, a mentor and coach. So as well as your book, you do that. Tell us more about what you're doing these days.
So essentially, I work with executives of companies that are stuck because they find that they're become so process driven. And a lot of companies, what happens is that because they've been around for so long, two things happen. One is they forget why they exist.
Right. Okay.
And so some of the work I do is getting back that meaning, right? So I worked for a long time in a budget hotel group, and it's not sexy, but we were proud of what we're doing because we use less of the environment to build the room. We make sure that when you leave the room, the aircon goes off. We save the environment, and that's something to be proud of, right? So when you explain to the staff, and that's what we used to do, it gives them a sense of pride that I'm working for an organization that's doing a good thing. So a lot of companies, they've forgotten why they exist. They've forgotten the value that they give. They're not proud anymore of what they're doing. So I help companies discover that. The second is a lot of companies end up with just process. They're all the time into process, right? And because they're so focused on process, everybody's hands are tied. And what you see now in a lot of companies is that the middle management are stuck, right? The company, the boss makes a promise to the customer, but doesn't give the resources to the customer-facing people. And so the whole balance of the company has shifted. The company has become back-end driven. Now you cannot be back-end driven, right? It's like if you play soccer, if I'm only going to defend, you're never going to win.
No.
Right? You have to score some goals, right?
It could be possible if you.
But you see, you have to free up the strikers, right? So a lot of companies, they forget that their salespeople are their key people. Their customer service people are their key people. But they treat everybody the same. And taking the sporting analogy, you cannot treat your strikers the same as your wingers, the same as your defense people. And so in an organization, you have to be honest enough to say that we depend on the customer-facing people. We depend on the salespeople. Are we doing everything we can to support them, or are we getting in the way? And very often companies are actually getting in the way of their own success.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, is this because of the process they're in and they're forgetting why they're doing what they're doing? Yeah.
Exactly.
So they need some kind of purpose or meaning.
Correct. They need a purpose, and they need their eyes to be open that, the function of HR is not just to hire and train people. I mean, the function of HR is to support the business. The function of finance is to support the business. Yeah. It's not, finance is just not record keeping and risk mitigation, and then looking back at last month's P&L and say, oh, you should save money here and here and here and here. Right? Finance people need to start thinking about, how can I help you as a sales guy? What resources do you need? And so, that's what entrepreneurial companies do naturally. And what I do is help the companies that are not entrepreneurial do the same.
Right. I see. Yeah. Excellent. So even the non-entrepreneurial one can actually give the same mindset. It's like entrepreneurship. It's not just only for people that own business owners. It's for everyone to have that mindset, that entrepreneurial mindset. That's right. Yeah. So, because an entrepreneur, that if you don't sell, you don't survive. Yeah. In a large organization, very often you can get away without doing anything because it's somebody else's problem. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So how does one approach you? I mean, you said you work with budget hotels. I mean,
so in my career, I worked with the fast food business. I worked in a shipyard. I worked in a budget hotel business. I've started a couple of businesses, technology businesses, and I worked in a venture capital firm as well. So I've invested in a lot of startups as well. Okay, yeah. So the best place to reach me is actually on LinkedIn. Right, I see. Yeah. I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. Yeah. And that's so just put your name and search it. You should see your
you
see it automatically. You see, you see my website as well, and
and also you read the show notes here. Do you have a website as well? Sorry, yes, you said you've got a website. So what can you tell them what it is?
It's my name, so it's www.anwarjumabhoy.com.
Right, excellent. Well, I'll make sure I'll put that in the show notes, so anyone listening can go straight to the show notes and catch you on your website, and from there they can get in contact with you as well, can't they? Yeah. Excellent. Well, before you go, one more question. We spoke about purpose and knowing why you're there in your business. Yes. So can you answer Simon Sinek's question, this why question?
Yes. So for me, it's making sure companies survive. Right. Because when they don't survive, it's not the guy who is at the top who gets hurt. It's the rank and file. Yeah. So for me, it's if I can help your company survive and do well, that's the why. And the answer is simple. Adopt entrepreneurial practices. Entrepreneurs have existed since the time immemorial. Yeah. Right? So why look at new stuff? Just go back to being basic, being entrepreneurial. What would an entrepreneur do?
Yeah. And interestingly enough, this is what people had to resort to during the lockdown, when there was almost a complete lockdown last year at the beginning of all this.
That's right.
Some companies were actually almost falling to pieces, and if they weren't, they had to cut their budget totally, lose their staff, or try to keep them furloughed, which is paying them to stay at home. When, and the new practice of working from home started getting more, so that's a new practice, learning something new, if you like. So that was what was happening, because some companies sunk, some people suffered when the company didn't really look after them. Yeah,
a lot of people suffered.
A lot of people suffered. Probably the company could have done a little bit more, couldn't they?
I'm sure a lot of companies could, but and I think the suffering is higher in certain countries where you are paid hourly.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I think if you're paid hourly as opposed to monthly, I think there's always a lot more pain.
When you say paid hourly, you mean actually get the cash, get your salary paid?
No, it means you're paid for the number of hours you work, right?
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah. Not a kind of salaried, as in.
Correct.
Right, okay,
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you now. So if you don't only do 10 hours in 1 month, you only get 10 hours instead of 40.
Exactly. And it's pretty rough for those people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I mean, here I think they call it zero contracts or something. It's a different kind of contract. But self-employment, obviously, that was a big one. And
what's happened in the lockdown is you've suddenly seen a sprouting of a lot of small businesses.
Yeah.
So you have bakeries, you have send you food, you have parcels. Yeah. Lots of people involved in the logistics sector. So people are saying, hey, my company didn't look after me. Maybe I should just try and look after myself.
Yeah. Well, that's what a lot of people had to resort to.
And so you become an entrepreneur. And the question I'm asking corporate leaders is, the guys you let go and do their own stuff. Why didn't you want to keep them? Because you didn't listen to them.
Yeah.
You didn't hear them. You didn't trust them. You didn't respect them.
Yeah. That's quite interesting. And it'll be interesting to see how we get on post-pandemic. Things have obviously shaped to the new, what they call it, new normal. But actually there is some
evolving. It'll be an evolving world.
Evolving world, absolutely. Well, let's watch this space and see what happens. But Anwar, it's been a great pleasure talking to you and have you on my show today. Yeah.
Thanks,
I could easily have you on the show a few times and have this. It's like having a conversation with over like a little kind of networking meeting, and or even socially over a few pints in the beer, we call it, a few pints in the bar, we call it in the UK.
Definitely,
of water, that is water, not alcohol. But yeah, Anwar, it's been a great pleasure, and thanks a lot for coming on and sharing this with my audience today.
I look forward to seeing you again, Dave, and thanks for having me.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts, or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.